This story takes place in the future when everything is new and high tech. The things around are AI for people and services that will help people with everything. Here, AI, which stands for Artificial Intelligence, is a high tech term for computer systems that make decisions. They can do this because they are machines that work like robots and used to do everything. No matter what people need to do, they will make it happen. Now we see Rachel, the main character, a girl living in this high-tech world. Her whole house is run by AI, which checks everything and even Rachel to make sure everything is okay. It also makes sure Rachel's health is good. Rachel then gets ready for the work. We found out that she also works for a company that makes AI tools. When she goes to the office, she's in a good place. We see her scientist husband at home. He studies and grows plants, but because everything is so high tech, AI does his job too. AI has helped Rachel's husband build a garden and put many plants in his home. He was free thanks to the AI, so he decided to teach at a college. He wasn't used to living in this high tech world, though things that he used to do by himself bother him when AI does them for him. There was a meeting going on while Rachel was in another room. Everyone hears her say that her team made another AI. It looks like an eye and learns from people how to think and plan for the future. It will work as helper or guide and give people advice in any way, good or bad. One worker is shocked and says that all of these jobs should be done by people. People will lose their jobs as AI takes over all the tasks. So, unemployment will go up. This won't happen, says the senior. They are made to help us, not to take our place. People will stay where they are. Rachel was on her way to work when her boss called her. There's talk of promoting you because she says you have been doing a good job for the past 2 years. But first, we would like to know about your family. Are you going to have a baby to make your family bigger? Rachel is shocked when she hears it and wonders what the rise has to do with having a baby. We haven't thought about it yet, she says. Her boss told her, I asked because your work is good for the company and I don't want you to take vacations when you talk about having a baby. Even though you need to be regular at work, we have another idea if you want to have a baby. She gives her the phone number of a center that uses robotic wombs to help women with give birth. At the center, Rachel learns everything she needs to know and chooses to become a mother. She writes her name there because the artificial womb isn't always available. A family wants it to be set up at certain times. Rachel gets a call from the center the next day. They tell her that a mechanical womb has been set up for her. She is happy because when she hears this, it means she will have a baby soon. While Rachel's husband was in college, he picked a fruit off a tree for other students to eat, but no one did, even though the fruit grew on the tree naturally and not because of an AI. We can see that they are so caught up in AI that they forgot about the nature. Rachel tells her friend about the fake birth, which makes her happy, so she chooses to go to the party. Rachel, on the other hand, says, I didn't tell my husband because even in this day and age, he still believes in things happening naturally. He doesn't like getting things like this because he trusts nature. Now that she thinks about it, she should see her doctor, who is an AI that looks like a big eye. Rachel asked me how I can have a baby through the fake womb since my husband wants everything to happen normally. The AI doctor tells you to help your husband understand that this time is not normal. You shouldn't worry about this. Enjoy the fact that you are going to be a parents. Rachel decides to tell her husband everything when he gets home in the evening. She goes to talk him because he seems worried. Rachel asks him what's wrong. Today the students didn't eat the tree fruit and people got away from the nature. Rachel changes her mind after hearing this and doesn't tell him anything right now. The next day, she goes to the womb center where there are a lot of other women. Linda, the head of the womb center, comes in and says that they started this center because there aren't many babies being born. We want to help women while we are making this so that giving birth wouldn't be a problem. She shows them a pod device that looks like an egg. The baby will be inside it and grow for 9 months. Linda shows them how to feed and connect with the baby. Now that they are parents, they can take the pod capsule home. The point is to show that the whole thing works the same way in real life. So don't worry. If Rachel wants to move forward with the process, Linda asks her to pay the fees. Rachel says, I need some time for this so I can talk to my husband. She then makes her mind and tells her husband everything on the way home. She wants to focus on her work and can't have a baby normally, so she needs an artificial womb to have a baby. When her husband hears this, he feels bad because he was against this method, and Rachel made this choice on her own. She tells me, I have to do this because it has to do with my promotion. They start to fight about this. Rachel calms down and tells him she's sorry. She also suggests that we meet up with one of her friends who also had an artificial birth. We will do it too if it's okay with her. Her husband agrees. When they get to the Rachel's friend's house, the husband of Rachel's friend starts to explain how they can take the baby anywhere in the fake belly. This makes Rachel's husband feel weird. It tells Rachel at home that he can't make this choice right away because it's about a baby. Rachel tells to talk to my AI doctor, it will tell you what to do. Based on what she said, her husband talks to the AI doctor, but they get into a fight and he leaves. At night, they talk about how the modern world has changed people's lives and how AI has made people lazy because they don't have to do anything. At night, Rachel's husband tells her, I know you are doing all this for our family. I agree with you. If you are okay with the baby being born artificially, he finally agrees to this. And when they see Linda the next day, she tells them, if you want a boy, we need more help from you. This means that both of you have to give us something from your bodies. But Rachel says we don't have to have a boy. We will let nature decide. After that, the start of the birth process is shown to them on the screen. Everything went well. They are happy to think that they will have the baby in 9 months. Now, Rachel tries to connect with the baby through the app Linda told her about. She sees that a few weeks have passed but the baby hasn't grown much, which makes her worry. While she sleeps at the night, she has a dream in which she is pregnant and just had given birth, but that wasn't a child but an egg. She tells her AI doctor about this dream because it seems too odd to her. Your dreams mean that you will become a mom in real life, it says. Don't worry too much because your dreams because they have nothing to do with the real life. It's been 6 weeks now and they can see their baby's heart beating in the womb center. This makes them happy. Following this, Linda lets them take the pod box home to connect to the baby. When Rachel's husband gets home, he sees his baby on the screen for the first time. He learns that baby is coming today and is excited to be a dad. He starts to talk to the baby, reads him stories and take him to his garden. But Rachel couldn't connect with any of it because she thought she would lose the touch of being pregnant with this baby. When she goes to the pool to take a swim, she sees a woman who is pregnant. She knows what it's like to be pregnant. When Rachel puts her hand on her belly, Rachel feels good for her when she sees her, but she now regrets what she did. When they go to the womb center to learn more about their baby, they see that some young children have been brought there. They studied, but they didn't write. Instead, they asked the AI robots to write for them. There wasn't much surprise among the parents when they saw that the robots were writing. At the same time, a boy standing there asked if his nephew was born through a fake pod, but it's odd that he didn't dream about it until today. Linda says, yes, this is from our side. We have limits on some things those babies can do, so they won't do those things, but we will soon take those limits off. Rachel used to be worried all the time and wonder if she had made the wrong choice. This was also hurting her work. She couldn't do as much she used to do while she was making her AI. If her boss sees this report, it could also be why she lost. It makes it look like someone is either having a fun or working hard. His senior tells him that they have to give a lot of money because of his garden, so he has to stop his work. Rachel's husband was happy that his baby was going to college. When he hears this, he gets very angry and goes back home. Rachel was mad that her husband had something to do with the baby, but she doesn't. They now go to the AI doctor to get an answer. Rachel talks about her problem, but since it was an AI, it couldn't understand how people feel. What does it mean to connect with someone? Because of this, it says, I think the baby is sick, so I should treat him. Please leave the baby here for a few days so I can get to know the baby and try to figure out what's going on. Now that they know it's an AI, they leave because they know it can't understand how they feel or give them an answer. Her husband tells not to think about it and to spend time with the baby. Then they will talk. Because she thinks this, Rachel ties the pod to her belly and walks to the office. But she forgets that there is a pod tied in front of her and crashes into it. The senior looked at her like she had made a big mistake. After a while, Rachel's boss tells her to leave the pod at home and shows her a cabinet full of pods. There were babies of people who worked at this company, and the senior puts Rachel's pod here by saying that all the moms have to keep their babies away because everyone comes to work. We didn't need mothers who don't pay attention to their jobs because this office was also an AI and feelings didn't matter here. After a few days, they need to bring their pod back to the office to be checked out. Rachel has another dream one day in which she is walking around in the sand near the ocean with her baby. She feels good when she hugs the baby, but then she wakes up and realizes that she is also connecting with the baby. To do this, she needs help from the nature. She makes a greenhouse in her house and walks in to smell the trees. She then brings it in a pot. It makes her husband happy to see her do this. She was on her way to work when her boss stopped her again and asked her what was wrong. Why has your work slowed down? You are taking too long to come with AI. Is your child okay? Or are you mad at him? Rachel finds this strange and she knows that no matter what she does, her boss will never be happy because she needs a robot that look like people and do work all the time without caring about how they feel. After some time, their baby is now 8 months old. They were happy and asked her to take the pod home to spend more time with it. Linda says, "No, sorry, this isn't possible because after this time we train the baby's brain and body. And yes, we do research here too. The information we need for our study comes from the baby's brain." Sarah tells Rachel, "I didn't agree to this kind of training. How can you do this to my baby without my permission?" Rachel is shocked. Linda smiles and says, "All of this was in the contract you signed, and there was a clear note that said, we also do study here. You can't take the baby now because he will be taken out of the pod a few days earlier. There are a lot of women waiting to give birth, so we need that pods." These days, they have to agree even though they didn't want to. As time goes on, Rachel realizes that everything was a trap meant to catch her. She was asked to fake having a baby in order to get promotion. This way, they could do their study and their company would get money from the government and other businesses. They were sad when they got home, but her husband wouldn't stop. He went to the center and stole his baby's pod. Then he took it home without telling anyone. They were glad to have their baby back. Tonight, Rachel has a dream that her baby is born and she is shopping for her in a small mall. She wakes up and tells her husband, "I agree with you. I didn't want my child to grow up in this world either. However, I do want my child to grow up normally and naturally." They choose to go to their houses in their country, which is a long way from the city. Things are still going as usual, but her husband goes to have one last talk with the Linda. He tells her, "Take more money from us, but the baby should be born in 9 months." But she says no to this. That's why they think it's fine to move into the town house and continue their trip the next day. They had a good time on the long trip. After some time, they got their town home and stayed there for few days. After 9 months, they see that the baby is going backwards in the pod. This makes them happy because they know the baby could be born at any time. But that night, the pod system suddenly turns off. Rachel starts to feel scared, but her husband tells her not to worry. "Don't worry, this pod will keep working for 2 days without power, and the baby will be born at any time." That night, while they were sleeping, sounds suddenly coming from the pod telling them it was time to give birth. They need to enter a code they can't remember before the baby is born. Now, Rachel starts to worry, but her husband stays calm and carefully breaks the top of the pod to get the baby out. They are also happy that the baby was born safely. There are some tears in the scene, but because they are finally parents now that they have a son, they try to live without tools like they did before the world became so advanced. Rachel packs up the pod and sends it back to the center after a few days. Now that the family is complete, they are happy to live in the beauty of nature away from the modern technology. On this scene, the movie ends here.